Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's been a while. My name is Ingrid and this is Ingrid Reads a Lot. Today I wanted to do a unhaul slash haul video for you. From now on, I want to do videos of unhaul and hauling books together just because I don't want to let a bunch of books build up before I film a video about it. Like I've done in the past, like a solely haul video or solely unhaul video, which we have a ton of books in one video, if that makes sense. We're still gonna have a lot of books in this video, but I'm gonna break it up between haul and unhaul. Anyway, we're gonna start with the unhauls, and these are books that I've read and just don't want to keep in my collection anymore because I just don't. All right, so first up for the unhaul, we have Silver Nitrate by Silvia Moreno Garcia. This is a horror novel. I think it's her latest novel that came out last year. This is a haunted film type of book in terms of like there was this film in the 1950s that they were filming and all these like scary things started to happen, and it all kind of revolves around this film. This is set in Mexico City, Mexico, and I think pretty early on, and in the description of this book you find out that it has to do with the occult, the movie does, and I was hoping to absolutely love this book, and just like every other Silvia Moreno Garcia book I've read, it sort of just doesn't live up to my expectations, and I think I am going to give up on reading her books because pretty much every book I read by her, the premise is what gets me, and the execution of the novel just doesn't get me. I remember reading this and just being kind of bored. And yeah, I was hoping this was going to be a lot more scary because it's a horror and it has to do with the occult and magic and dark magic and all these different things, but it just didn't do it. So we're going to unhaul it. And next one is Mr. Magic, which I think I've talked about this because I must have done my wrap up for this. And this is a book that I didn't hate, but it's also a book that I don't love enough to keep in my collection. This is another that the premise really caught me, and this is centers around this group of children that used to be on the show that was super popular in my head. I think like Barney, which is a show that involves kids, but people have like a vague memory of watching the show when they were children, but in the current day you can't find any videos, you can't really find anything about this show, this kid show. And the beginning of the book, one of the children, you're following one of the kids that was in the show, and they're kind of trying to get everybody together to record a podcast about what it was like to be on the show. And Mr. Magic is like the Barney of the show, you could say, where he was the center figure that would kind of be around the children, and they all looked up to Mr. Magic, but no one really knows if Mr. Magic was like a real person or, you know, something else. And so this really caught my attention. This is also a horror novel. I really, really liked the premise, but the execution of this just didn't, like I said, I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it either. This has a lot of the author's personal beliefs and experiences with, I don't want to say anything, well, I don't want to say what the twist is because it's spoilers, but the author has a lot of personal experience with this, and so she chose to use this as like the thing in the book. And like I said, I don't love it, I don't hate it. I was hoping it would be more in a different direction. Not that what she used bothered me, but I just had this like thought of this evil being and all these things, and it just kind of fell flat for me, and that's why I'm unhauling this. All right, next up we have The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. I'm unhauling this because I didn't like it. I definitely filmed a haul where I talk about this book, but if you want more in-depth thoughts about this, we did a video on Elle's channel, which I will link the video down below, where me, Elle, Christy, and Jade talk about this because we all read it at the same time. And I am very passionate about the reasons why I didn't like this book. So if you want to hear some not so nice things I have to say about this book, then you can check out that video. It's like an hour-long ramble of all of us talking about this, and yeah, I'm unhauling it. I didn't love it. So, and then another book I'm unhauling is Throne of the Fallen by Carrie Maniscalco, and this is a like fae romance book, and I was really hoping I was going to enjoy this, and I didn't. I really love the beginning of this book. It's kind of set in the past, like think like Victorian era, and it's between a woman that she has like an art gallery. One of the princes of this other world, which his name is Envy, she gets entangled with him because they need to do something and help save his court, basically. Like Envy has his own court. But our main character doesn't know this because he's not very clear with her from the beginning of why he needs her help and all these things. And I just got bored reading this. Like throughout the book, it just gets boring. Like the beginning of this novel really caught me, and it's like a very cheeky, I loved the main character and her friend, and it just kind of goes downhill from there, and I'm gonna unhaul it because not the Fae book I was hoping for, let's just say that. All right, let's move on to the haul part of this video, and I am trying to buy less books this year, which so far I've been sort of successful with. I haven't bought a ton, but I did buy some. Everybody and their mother loves this. This is Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. And I think this is like a cozy fantasy book about Emily Wilde, and she has this encyclopedia of all the fairy creatures, and I think she goes on like a expedition to find out more. And I've heard that there's this other character that is like a love interest, and they're both kind of quirky, and everybody sort of loves this. And I'm thinking it's just gonna be a cozy, heartwarming read. So I'm kind of leaving this until I feel like I need something like that. That's what I did with House in the Cerulean Sea by TJ Klune, which is also sort of like a heartwarming, cozy fantasy type thing, and it really worked out for me. So I'm gonna hold on to this until I feel like I need a little pick-me-up. And then next up I bought A Conjuring of Light by V.E. Schwab because I read A Gathering of Shadows recently, which I haven't filmed my wrap-up. I'm being, oh my gosh, this chair is moving. I'm being a bad booktuber because I haven't filmed a video in a while, and in that is my March wrap up, which I haven't talked about any of the books that I've read, and I did read A Gathering of Shadows in that month. So I bought this right after I finished because I'm like, okay, now I need the book that matches my collection. Because if you don't know, which I'm sure you do, V.E. Schwab like redesigned the covers of these books, and they're not so good. And I have the old covers, and so I needed to buy this. I bought this on Pango Books, I think is the name of the app. It's like a used book app that people can buy and sell books or whatever. And so I need my collection to match, and I want to read this. I really enjoyed A Gathering of Shadows. I will talk more about it when I film my wrap up of March. Late. All right, and then next up I have The Last House on Needless Street by Catriona Ward. And I've read Sundial by this author, and I really enjoyed it. She writes horror novels, and Sundial I think is up there somewhere with a really pretty cover. Anyway, so I read that and I enjoyed it, but this is, I think, her book that is most popular because a lot of people seem to enjoy this, and I don't really know what it's about. I'm guessing it's like a weird house, obviously, but it says here, a young girl who isn't allowed outside, nor not after the last time, a man who drinks alone in front of his TV trying to ignore the gaps in his memory, and a house cat who loves napping and reading the Bible. So it just seems weird, like all these people are and a cat are in this boarded up house, and I don't know anything else about this, which is good because I want to go into this kind of blind. But okay, and then next two books I actually got in a used bookstore when I traded in my other unhaul, which I never filmed because it was before I had the channel, but I unhauled a bunch of books and I took it to my local used bookstore, and you get credit. And so while I was there, I picked up these two books without having to pay anything, which is nice because your credit just like stays in their system, and then you can pick up whatever you want, obviously if you have the credit. But I got God Killer by Hannah Kanner. I don't know how to say that, but I don't really know what this is about. I know that a lot of people love this, and obviously I know it's a fantasy novel. I just know that this book is set in a world that gods, much like our own, used to be worshipped, and then there was a war that created a lot of rift, and so now the current king doesn't want gods around anymore, and he pays these god killers to go and kill all these gods which sounds weird to me, but it sounds intriguing also. But that's the premise of this that I know of, and I'm curious about this because it is kind of like a short book. We do have a follow-up to this, so if I read this and I like it, then obviously I will continue on with the series, but it sounds interesting. And then the other book I picked up is a graphic novel, and that is Parable of the Sower by Octavia E. Butler. And I have her other book in graphic novel form, which is Kindred. And I need to get to this because I'm slacking. But Parable of the Sower is also something I've been curious about, and I kind of like that they're in a graphic novel. I attempted to read Kindred like a long time ago, and I wasn't super into it, and I put it down. But I've always heard so many good things about it that I'm like, I have to read it. I have to get through it, like the beginning of it, see what all the fuss is about. Anyway, I want to get to these two fairly soon, so that's it for my unhaul/haul, because I'm trying to be good and not buy books. But yeah, anyways, if you enjoyed this video, let me know down below, any comments, and I am putting it out into the world that I'm gonna be a better booktuber and stop taking such long breaks in between videos, because it's just not me. It's just not me. Anyway, I'll talk to you guys on the next one. Goodbye.